pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 3818, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place. We're having a virtual meeting. I'll give you the call into the meeting phone number. It is also on the agenda on the town site, but the call into the meeting phone number is 929-205-6099. Okay, and to get started, the first thing up would be the bond release for Marchildren Lane. Do we have any letters?
I think we have, Christine, are you out there? Do you have a letter for the bond?
Christina? She's muted.
I have it. So we do have a letter. It's,
Okay, hi. Yes, I did. I wrote a letter.
I have it.
And I reviewed everything, and it looked fine.
You want a motion to approve the bond release?
Yes.
I'll give you a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Dawn?
Roll
Dawn?
call.
Aye.
Okay, so
I'm on.
Don, Nancy, Mike, all said aye.
Yep.
Glenn, everyone's aye.
You too?
Yes, aye.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, next up would be 18 Perham Street. Do we have any letters for that? That's going to be seeking endorsement of an approval not required plan.
Of which you guys here, I have a plan. If you,
Yeah, I looked at that. He's just doing some housekeeping, just.
Yeah.
There's a shed on the neighbors, or the neighbor's shed's on his, and they're just giving up the piece just to make things perfect.
Yep.
Is
That's
all
what
that
I
is,
see
and-
too. Anybody have anything on that? Nope. Nance, Mike, Don?
we do have
Good.
the applicants online.
I'll give you
Move
one.
to endorse.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mike, raise back, you're an aye. Don, an aye. And Nancy's an aye, and I'm an aye. So we're
Yep.
all set. Unanimous.
And that means you can't leave here right away because you have to sign the A&R tonight.
Oh, it'll be my pleasure.
Okay.
Next up is 330 Billerica Road. It's the RMR Group. They are seeking a BAOD applicability approval under 195-47 and 195-119B, 56755 square feet, upscale fast casual restaurant with a drive-through and up to 10,000 square feet of retail restaurant fast food.
Is there a plan on that one?
Is there anyone on from the applicants?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Jesse Abear. I'm the Director of Development for the RMR Group. We have several people on, including Jim Bernardino from Bowler and Sarah Holland, who's with the RMR team as well. I would just note that our legal counsel is waiting to get let in the meeting. So I
Okay.
don't know if there's
Yeah,
some
we'll-
way to
Oh,
let
I'm
it.
sorry.
We'll look into that right now also.
It's just one.
It's Mark Vaughn.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about the,
Yeah, I mean, when we can get started, I mean, this is, there you go. Mark, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had a little trouble connecting here, other than calling, I just sent you an email, which you can disregard, so,
Sorry. My fault.
but, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, this is Attorney Mark Vaughn with Reamer and Bronstein, representing RMR in connection with this application. Can everyone hear me okay?
yes?
Okay, great. Appreciate you taking the time to have us on the agenda this evening, but we're here in connection with the property at 330 Billerica Road. I think it's one that the board is certainly familiar with, I believe. I know that it's an office building that's owned by RMR Group that about 100,000 square feet in size. If the board may recall, we worked collaboratively with the town a couple of years ago in connection with the Route 129 overlay in order to provide for the ability to have a fast casual restaurant with a drive-through subject to certain specified criteria that are enumerated in your bylaw in terms of the size of the facility, number of seats, and other certain requirements, all of which would be satisfied with this application. So this is really just, kind of the next phase of bringing forward a proposal that fits within those criteria. And as indicated in the cover letter we submitted, RMR Group has signed a lease with Press Cafe. They're very excited about that. Press Cafe, for those of you that may not be familiar with them, but they're a fast casual restaurant located in the area. This would actually be their 8th location. They offer craft roasted coffees, espressos, smoothies, fresh cold pressed juices, and fresh sandwiches, paninis, and the like. So I think this would be a nice addition to this corridor, and certainly providing an amenity to the surrounding area, which I know was really what was driving the Route 129 overlay process to begin with. So this would be located on the end cap of the building, which is required under your bylaw, and they would be looking to have a drive-through component. The building itself, as I mentioned, is a little over 100,000 square feet, but the restaurant for Press would be 5,675 square feet. So we also had indicated in our cover letter that it is our hope and desire to be able to occupy some adjoining space for a restaurant use as well. No one has been identified for that, but the intent would be to be able to go out and try to market that space, about 10,000 square feet, which is immediately adjacent to the space that Press Cafe is looking to go into for a restaurant use. So we wanted to make that notation, and so the plans that have all been submitted made reference to that. One thing that, so we're here in connection with the first step under the CEOID and the 129 overlay in terms of the board, making the appropriate findings as part of the initial process. But yeah, this rendering here would help show it. So the far right-hand side is where Press would be located. And that end cap there, that's the existing condition. I don't know if you want to go to the next slide, but this is the site plan, concept plans that we submitted as part of this application. And I think that the next one would show the layout there. You can see, again, the far right-hand side of the building is where Press would be. You can see the drive-through configuration that's currently proposed. The concept there, of course, would be a traditional drive-through with a menu board where when you drive in, and then the pickup window is looking to have that to the back right of the building, as far back as possible. And then when vehicles exit, we would require them to take a left-hand turn and circle around the building in that kind of counterclockwise fashion, if you would. We think that works best for kind of traffic flow manageability. And then you'll also see to the front of Press is an expanded outdoor dining area. And we have a rendering that kind of helps show a little bit conceptually how we're looking to activate that space. Probably the next, yeah, there you go. So the rendering on the bottom, if you're able to zoom in a little bit, kind of help show conceptually where that menu order board would be on the right-hand side. There you go, where the red car is where the menu order board would be. And then to the left of that corner of the building, you'll see some patio dining space. And we're proposing to have a mix of hardscape as well as landscape features there that would provide, a nice atmosphere and ambiance for people that might be looking to eat outside, which I think in today's world is happening a lot more than it did before. One of the things that we would be applying for would be the special permit for the use itself. And then we also had included within the site plan kind of a parking breakdown. And the site today is non-conforming as it relates to parking in terms of having less than what the maximum, the minimum parking requirement is. And we actually would be intensifying that a bit, but the one thing that I think is important to note here is that the parking calculations we did very conservatively based upon the utilization of Press Cafe as restaurant, fast food, and also for the adjacent 10,000 square foot restaurant. Just as a note, I know Chelmsford, the parking requirements seem to be a bit conservative in terms of what is required. For example, 5 per 1,000 for the office space. We typically see in other communities, for example, Burlington, where we do a lot of work, it's a maximum of 3 per 1,000. And then for the restaurant, I know you require 20 spaces per 1,000 square feet for the fast food restaurant, which, requires a certain number of parking spaces, which, we would not be able to necessarily meet here. But I think what's important to note is that from the RMR group's perspective there, and we can show this at the next step of the process, that, we'll be able to, show that the parking would work for the mix of uses that we're talking about, because, obviously we don't want to be going into anything where we don't know that the parking is going to work for all the uses of the building. So we're confident that is going to work here, just given the complementary nature of the being an amenity of the building, and then also the drive-through component itself. Obviously, those folks aren't going to be parking if they're going to the drive-through. So I'm babbling on here a bit, and as I'm known to do, but we have our civil engineer, Jim Bernardino with Bowler, who can speak to anything that I might not have covered in sufficient detail. And then obviously we have Jesse and Sarah from the RMR group, should you have any questions about the use itself. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe bring it around the board, and that way there we can see. Do you want to start?
Sure, I'll jump right in on it. I've looked at it. I kind of think you meet the applicability for what we're going for here, and I think it's going to be a good addition to that area. Try to get going what we've been trying to get going there. So other than that, I think it's fine. The parking situation, I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think we can squeeze it. You're going for a special permit for the parking anyhow. We should be able to squeeze that down a little bit to make it work for you. It's all part of the process, so that's all I got.
Excellent. Mike?
No, I tend to agree with Glenn. I think this, with the intent of 129, this fits right in. Yes, there are some special permits that we're looking for, but I think we can work within the reason and the boundaries of this. The question I asked is, where did we end up with the fast food, the drive-throughs on 129? There was a big debate on that. And how many were we allowed to have on that whole corridor? We have 2. And right now we have none, right? So this would be the first one
This will
going
be the
in.
first one.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's the question I had regarding that 195, 145.
Excellent. Henry?
I think it's a great idea, great concept. Hopefully, this Press Cafe will entice other companies to come in there and other restaurants, so I think it's a great idea.
Nancy?
I was looking.
Yeah, I'm here. I have no issues with it. We had reviewed this before, and we made a change to the to the bylaws via town meeting, such that something like this could be implemented on 129. So it's good to see that those changes are actually being taken advantage of.
Excellent. Don?
I'm good, thanks.
Mike?
I'm good.
Okay, I only have one question. What has taken you guys so long to get here? No, I go to the one in Nashua. I think it's a great restaurant, and I think it would be a great asset to Chelmsford. So if nobody else has any questions?
Want a motion to approve the applicability phase of 330 Billrica Road?
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Everybody approved.
All right.
Technically, we need to do a roll call.
We'll do a roll call. So
Okay.
Don?
Aye.
Nance?
Aye.
Mike?
Yep.
Mike?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
And you're an aye. Okay, thank you.
All right, unanimous.
I'll
Thank
write
you and
that
good luck.
decision up and have it for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
Great, thank you very much.
Yep, good luck.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, next up, 248 Princeton Street. Page and Trahan Companies seek applicability, finding under CEIOD, and is subject to Article 12 inclusionary zoning to construct 12 townhouse style and 2 buildings.
And 2 buildings?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Douglas DeShane, representing Page and Trahan Companies. I do believe that Mr. Trahan and Mr. Page are expected to join us this evening. If there's any questions I can't answer. Colleen, could we possibly put up the existing site conditions?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not the one I got today. I put that one up.
Was the plan that was in the application itself?
Is that the one we have?
And actually, in the interest of time, I'll sort of speak while they look for that plan. We are here this evening seeking a determination of applicability for the project located at 248 Princeton Boulevard. I'm sure most of you recall that this is the site of the former site of the Glenview Pub and Grill, which I personally miss. The land area is about 32,637 square feet. And I believe the vast majority of that site is currently either paved or building. So most of the site is covered. Thank you, Colleen. There's the plan, and that shows Princeton Street and the side road, the Walter G. Weedy Street, and the existing Glenview structure there. And as you can see from the plan, nearly the entirety of the site is paved. So our proposal is to create 12 townhouse-style residential units contained in 2 buildings, each having 6 units. And Colleen, the next plan, or Evan, whoever's doing that, the next plan, there we go. So this is the site plan of the proposed reuse. As you can see, we are proposing to eliminate the endless curb cut along Princeton and Weedy Street, and to direct all traffic to a single egress and access off of the side road. The project, as I said, it's 12 units, 6 in each building as shown. The project has been designed to comply with the regulations contained in Article 21, the COID. The COID does allow 10 units by right. However, we will be seeking the board's approval of the 20% bonus, which would allow us 2 additional units for a total of 12. We are proposing to conform or meet the requirements under Article 23 of your bylaw, the inclusionary zoning bylaw. by constructing 3 affordable units within the proposed 12-unit project. Each unit, and at this point, if we could, Colleen, please go to that, one of the architectural renderings so that I can give the board an overview of what these will look like. Each unit contains 2 bedrooms, 1-car garage, porch, loft office area, which is quite popular these days, having a home office from which to work. And they will contain a 1-car garage, or just over 1,800 square feet in size. And maybe if we can just scoot down a little more to the rendering. Again, I know I'm just kind of giving you the quick overview here, but I did want to give the board an opportunity to see what we're proposing and what these would look like. As I said earlier, we are looking to eliminate the curb cut along, the endless curb cut along Princeton, along Weedy, and put all the traffic into one entrance. The buildings that face, as they face the street, are actually 2-story. They view as 2-story buildings. There's the street view. We are also proposing a stone wall along Princeton Boulevard, so that would even further reduce sort of the massing and scaling of the building. But as you can see, the front of the buildings is a 2-story building. When you drive behind, there's a lower level where the garages are located, and all of the parking is located to the rear of the building, so none of it is viewable from either of the streets. It's all contained in the back. And again, with the sloping topography that we'll create, there'll be drive-under garages, which you won't see from the street. We are proposing to provide, as I said, 1-car garage for each unit, but also we are proposing a total of 36 parking spots. We're required to provide 28, but we are providing an extra 8 parking spots, so we're more than complying with the parking requirements. So we're here to seek a determination from the board as to applicability under a COID, under section 195, 111B of the bylaw. We are located in a CV district to which the COID applies, and also under the COID, multifamily residential is allowed in the CV district. We believe that the project is eligible under the following circumstances. 1, we will be altering or changing a pre-existing non-conforming structure. That existing structure is significantly non-conforming, and also we would be asking the board to agree with us that that existing restaurant building is in fact underutilized, obsolete. As we know, it's an older building. There's been difficulty with running a restaurant there, and there's nobody banging down the door to create a new restaurant. So clearly that site is underutilized.
Are you there, Doug?
Yes, I am.
Were you finished, or?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought I heard someone say to hold up, so I just stopped.
Yeah, I think someone needs to be muted.
Yeah, wasn't us.
Oh, sorry about that.
No problem.
So under section 195, 110, as you know, the bylaw defines 4 types of projects that are allowed under the COID and that would allow you to qualify for a COID. Attorney Robbins, in her application, has suggested that the project meets your requirements as a commercial or industrial redevelopment project, a CIRP. And she based that on a proposal that we would in fact be demolishing all of the existing buildings and the parking lot and constructing new building and parking lot. I've also, in reviewing the bylaw, feel that the project would qualify as a residential reuse or redevelopment project, an RRRP, as we are converting an existing commercial site and structure into residential use. The purpose is for that particular type of project is to replace underutilized and obsolete commercial property, which I would contend this is, into a residential use, which would be appropriate for the neighborhood and which would contribute to the surrounding neighborhood. I think this plan is great. This map, as it shows the board, this is a commercial activity that is completely surrounded by residential uses. So I believe a conversion to residential would really fit in here nicely, would really do a lot for the aesthetics of the corner and of the site, and would in fact contribute to the beneficial interest of the surrounding neighborhood. So I think I think we do qualify as either a CIRP, as Attorney Robbins has suggested, because we're demoing and redeveloping, but also we would qualify as an RRRP as we are converting an underutilized commercial site to a residential use, which fits quite nicely in a predominantly residential area. So with that, I am certainly happy to answer any questions the board might have, and or at least try to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'll start with a couple of questions. The way that it's set up, will the front doors have walkways out to the sidewalk, or? Because they're gonna be.
Sure, yeah, let me grab that site plan. For fire safety, we're gonna have to have two means of egress. One would be through the back, and then there will be a front door. Those units then would be connected by a walkway that would take you over to the paved area. So you could walk around back to the parking or to the units, or could ultimately walk over and access Weedy Street. Again, we are proposing a stone wall along Princeton. I must be honest, I don't know for a fact, but I would suspect there would be a break in the wall somewhere. So if somebody wanted to walk from their front door out to Princeton Street, there'd be an access through the stone wall to get there. But yes, they will be connected by walkways for fire safety.
Okay, is there any sidewalk on Princeton Street? Or is that gonna be the same situation?
Yeah, there is a granite curb shown along Princeton Street now. And of course, there is also a space between that granite curb and the actual lot itself. So there is a portion of the public right-of-way there. It's all paved now, so it's hard to differentiate whether it's a sidewalk or not, but I suspect we could work with the board to figure out what is the best configuration for that.
Okay.
Which would certainly potentially be a sidewalk, if there's not one there.
Okay. I mean, other than that, I think it would clean up the area. I don't mind the look of them. I think it would be good for the area to turn it to residential, so I'm good with it. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got a few. First off, I think it meets the COID requirements. There's one big issue that I can see, and it's really not anything with your project. But after going to last night's tri-board meeting with the selectmen and the Board of Health about the sewer issues, we got a notice from Weston and Sampson a week or so ago not to approve any more projects that are going to be tying into the sewer. I know there's already sewer on that property, that you could utilize, but it was a question.
Yes, and in fact, our utilization of the existing sewer will be less capacity usage than the current use. So we would be utilizing the existing sewer connection, but we would actually be requiring less,
Flow.
we would be providing less gallonage. So we
Right.
would be reducing our use of the overall system.
Okay. The question that I asked to Paul Haverty last night regarding this was, if there's a change of use, what does that do? And he said if
Okay.
it's a change of use, you can't just use the existing sewer. You'd have to reapply and start all over again because it's a change of use. And that was one concern I have, and that can all be hashed out. I know you're just here for applicability, so.
Right. And I'll be honest, I did not know that.
I didn't either, that's why I
We
asked.
have been assuming that we could continue to utilize, and in fact, we thought it beneficial that we were gonna be reducing our use.
Yeah.
So we will certainly have to look into
You
that.
definitely gotta look into that, because that's a big one, because you don't wanna go putting all your engineering money and all that stuff out there to find out at the last minute that you just wasted a couple of $100,000.
No, I appreciate the heads up. We will
Okay.
certainly do so.
All right, so that gets that out of the way. The other concerns that I got on this project, applicability-wise, I think I'm fine with it, and I'll vote to give you a positive on the applicability on it. When it comes back to us as a project, I'd like to see a lot of landscaping on that. I'd like to see a lot more architectural, so it doesn't look like just an apartment building stuck in a corner. Just looking at what we got, it looks like something that would belong in a city. And I'd like to make it, you know what I mean, make it as part of the neighborhood, because it is part of a neighborhood.
No, I understand. I do.
So, you know, with these projects, we get to pick and choose, you know, all the amenities that we'd like to see. And I'd like to see it look really, really nice if that's at all possible. And I don't think it should be that difficult.
We will certainly work with the board to make that happen.
Okay, and that's all I got.
Mike?
I agree with Glenn, just a couple of things. I agree the residential project would fit nice in that area. However, I think applicability, I'm finding that it does meet the COID. But when it comes forward, I just think the size of the building for that neighborhood, they're all single-family residences around that neighborhood. I drove it today, looked around, parked in the parking lot. Yes, I understand it's commercial, but it's a commercial CB spot zone that was done years ago. And I think to take advantage of that is taking advantage of the town, that's been there because that building was there when rezoning was done, I would assume, right? So I think the 6 structures in each building are quite large for that area, and I think I'm sure you're not gonna be surprised that there will be a lot of pushback from those neighbors, I would assume, the size of this facility. Now, I understand further down Princeton Street, the development that was there is multifamily, but it's townhouses and it's duplexes, only 2 in a structure. And I think that, even that really doesn't fit the surrounding neighborhood. So for purposes of tonight, I think you meet the requirements. I think, I'm not sure about the variance of getting 2 additional units, and I'm not sure yet about the inclusionary, but I'll have to look into that. But I just think, for purposes of tonight, I think we have to choose which one are we going for, right? Which structure? It's either what Doug mentioned or what Melissa is requesting, so it's not both. It's either one or the other.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to talk about that, and, it'd be nice to put a nice residential complex in here.
Yeah.
I just think it's large. That's what I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Henry?
I agree with Mike, it's a little bit large for me, but other than that, I think I'd pass the applicability.
Okay. Don?
Had no concerns with applicability.
Okay. Nancy?
I have no concerns with applicability. I think that the townhouses fit that area. We have other townhouses just down the street from it. Some fairly extensive apartments in that area, and we're expecting to have major apartment developments directly across the street from it. So, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that everything directly adjacent to it on that side of the street is single family is not an issue. I am concerned, however, that I don't think we can approve this. And the reason is that I'm looking at the build-out plan that shows the new pavement for the parking area, and it appears on this plan to be on somebody else's property. And I know perfectly well that we can't approve a plan that extends onto property that is not represented in the application. So we need to clear that up before we go forward.
Which area is she talking?
This little corner right here I'm circling on the screen.
Yep.
I believe they own that parcel. Or it's
Well, it
part of
could be,
that.
but they're going to have to split it or something in order to do this plan. And I'm sorry, it is a technicality, but it's there.
No, I understand, and I will address that.
Sorry, Doug.
Okay.
Oh, no worries.
Do they own that property already?
Legitimate question.
Yeah.
Do you own that property? The other property she's speaking about?
Number 5 house.
I, to be honest, I don't know. I'm wondering if my client,
I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, we do.
Dennis,
Okay.
yes,
Yes.
this is Mr. Page.
Evening.
And yes, we do own that property.
Okay, excellent. Mike Raisback, did you have any comments?
No comments that haven't been brought up already. The business of the overlap on another lot is a technicality that the applicant can resolve himself without our involvement, really, if they so desire, or it could be done with some kind of an A&R. It depends on what they plan to do with the property. I think it's a reasonably good idea. It is certainly meets the applicability standards. And we'll talk about the details later.
Okay. All right, great. Someone have a motion for
I'll
me?
give you a motion to approve the applicability portion of the Glenview Restaurant at 248 Princeton Street.
And I'll second.
Okay, we got a second.
I have a question.
Yo, question, yes.
Before you vote,
Yes.
do we have to, and Evan can weigh in on this, I believe, do we have to choose which project under the COA that is applied to? Is it either CIRP or is it
Sorry, you did mention that.
RRRP? I mean, do we have to determine that now, Evan?
Not as part of your formal vote this evening. I will draft a decision and have it ready for your next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Evan.
Good.
Okay, so we're good to go. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Want a roll
We'll
call?
do a roll call. Mike Raisback,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Henry? Mike?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Unanimous. All set, Doug. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to bringing you back a project you like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a
Doug.
good night.
Do it soon, Doug.
All right.
Right. And, Mr. Chair, I'm going to bow out now. I have a conflicting meeting that starts up in a couple of minutes, so I'm going to miss the next chunk. But of course, hi, Katie. I'll catch it on the replay
Okay.
before the next meeting.
All right, Mike, thank you.
Okay, goodbye, guys.
Good night.
Hey, Mike. Hi, Mike.
Okay, next up is Stonegate Construction, 1 Billerica Road and 44 Central Square, requesting a site approval, Section 195, 104, and special permits, a Village Center Overlay District, VCOD, and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. The proposed project consists of reuse and redevelopment of the Fisk House and Oddfellows Hall into commercial space, and a 100-seat restaurant and 8 apartments respectively. A 32-unit multifamily structure is proposed for the adjacent parking area. The site is located in the Village Center Overlay District and consists of approximately 3.5 acres, as shown on the assessor map. Is anyone here for Stonegate? Site plan.
Was that continued, Colleen?
Yeah, was that?
Right, yes.
It's continued, yep.
Katie Enright with Howard Stein Hudson. We had requested a continuance to the next meeting.
Okay, that's as I thought, they had it written in
Oh,
red letter,
yeah.
continued, but it was in a spot where it looked like.
Yeah,
it
I
was a
apologize for that.
continuation
Yeah,
of the
that will be
continued.
continued.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for letting me go with that.
Oh, you needed the
I
practice.
didn't
Yeah,
have-
thank
I
you.
didn't have the agenda in front of me. so-
Okay, so next,
So a motion to continue.
motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue. Need a second?
Second.
Second,
Roll
all in
call.
favor?
Aye.
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 And Mike stepped out, so.
Yes, I wrote that down.
Okay, so that's been, North Star, so I had to read it anyway, right, for the.
Yeah.
for the continuance, So we're good to go.
Is this a continuation? Or are they coming tonight for North Star?
For North Star, she's
Yeah.
here.
All right, so I'm gonna recuse myself
Oh, right.
as a board member, and I'll step aside and, come back in to speak as an abutter.
Excellent,
Thank you.
thank you.
Stay there.
Okay, next up, North Star Realty LLC, 236 Groton Road, for an 11 lots definitive subdivision. The applicant requests a definitive subdivision approval and applicable waivers under subdivision control law and the rules and regulations governing the subdivision of the land in the town of Chelmsford. The project calls for the construction of a new dead-end roadway and the construction of 11 duplexes on 11 new lots. One new duplex is proposed to replace an existing home using frontage for 236 Groton Road. The site is located in the RC Residential Zoning District. The project consists of 5 properties totaling approximately 8 acres, as shown in the assessors map 23, block 92, lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. Someone here from North Star?
Doug is gonna start.
Go ahead.
Unmute.
Yes.
Who's gonna start?
Who's,
Doug was gonna start, but he's having trouble on.
No,
There he is.
sorry, little technical difficulties. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Douglas DeShane, representing North Star Realty LLC. Carrie Liu and Wenlin Liu from North Star, I also believe are on the meeting, as well as Katie Enright from Howard Stein Hudson, our engineer on the project. Good evening, and as you may see, I am filling in this evening for Attorney Robbins. Please recall, and as I understand, this project has been under review, and in a previous plan, there were some units that had been located on the southern side of the power line easement, and they were accessed by longer driveways, and the board had some concerns with that. And so a concept plan was done to remove those units, pull them back into the parcel so that everything was on the north side of the power easement, and I do believe that was at least discussed or reviewed with the board. We then went and actually took that concept plan and formalized it, and this is the plan that Katie will put up for you. Again, under this revised plan, we pulled those units out, leaving the electrical easement and some of the wooded area to the back of the parcel as a significant buffer to our neighbors to the south. We were also able to take the 12th unit that was previously proposed to be accessed via an existing driveway that was literally adjacent to the on-ramp. And we were able to eliminate that curb cut, eliminate that driveway, and actually integrate that 12th unit into the proposed subdivision roadway itself, which I think makes for a much better plan, at least certainly with respect to that unit. These plans have been submitted to the board prior, and to town engineer as well. And so with the board's permission, I'd ask Katie to give you a quick overview of what the current final plan looks like and what changes were made since you last saw it.
Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Katie Enright with Howard Stein Hudson. Doug did a good job summarizing certainly where we've been in the last month or so. At the last meeting, we were able to show you just a very quick conceptual plan that we had created after a site walk with Conservation Commission and some of the members of the planning board. And after hearing a lot of the feedback that we received at planning board and Conservation Commission, we had started to look at a revised concept. With the information that we received at the last planning board meeting about a month ago, we moved forward with the engineering in more detail. And we were able to accomplish essentially, I think, a lot of the other comments and concerns, certainly that the abutters also had with the plan. So the plan you see here today, as Doug mentioned, we took the 12th lot off of Groton Road and moved it into the subdivision. We actually worked for a couple of weeks with Mass DOT, and it appears that that driveway never had, well, didn't have an easement that was reserved when the highway came through. So even though that house exists with the driveway that exists out to Groton Road, there was never an easement to tie in or an access agreement to tie in with Groton Road. So we got rid of that altogether and put it onto the new subdivision road. The new subdivision road has also been redesigned to push in, as Doug said, to the north of the easement, and we're able to fit all of the duplexes on the north side of the easement. I think you can see that the closest duplex gets 18 feet from the easement line, not the power lines themselves, where the rest of the backyards on those 5 units are pretty significantly far away from the edge of the easement. The easement itself is 80 feet wide, so the wires are essentially towards the middle of that. So there's some significant space there and some tree line that can be kept between the rear of the new houses, the duplexes, and the power easement. And then essentially the power easement will be left untouched, and the area on the other side of the power easement adjacent to Burton Lane will remain untouched. As part of this plan, we also were able to shorten the road. The road itself is just under 850 feet long now, based in the RC district. Each of these lots has 125 feet of frontage, a 20-foot front offset, 12-foot side offset, and 20-foot rear offset. When we were out on site, we did speak to both the neighbors on the western side of the property, and you can see on our plan, as requested by Mrs. Gillies, we've added a piece of fence on, I think it's on, yeah, it is on this layout and materials plan. They had requested where that unit is about 13 feet off the property line, which it's allowed to be 12. We moved the house up so it's behind their, oops, that was a good page actually, Colleen.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We were able to move the house up so that it's more behind their large garage structure than it is kind of in proximity to their house to hide a little bit of the view shed of the new subdivision. And we've also proposed a 4-foot stockade fence along that open part of the property line between essentially the house and the backyard that would be cleared for this house. And that can certainly be adjusted. We're showing it here as 100 feet, 4-foot tall stockade fence as requested by the Gillies. And what we'll do is we'll continue to talk to them. If that's the position that they want it, we'll leave it there. If it needs to be a little bit longer or a little bit moved in a different direction. Essentially the purpose was just to prevent give them privacy in their side yard and give units 23 and 24 some privacy in their rear yard. And also keep people from potentially going into their side yard. We had also spoken with the neighbors, and again, Melissa's not here tonight. Melissa had a conversation with the couple that lives in the front of the Gillies at 246. And we also discussed a fence for them too. We haven't determined where that fence is going to be located. I know there was some conversations in the field that our roadway is actually pretty significantly lower than their yard. So it might make sense to offer the fence on the high point rather than on the property line. So we'd appreciate it as any condition, certainly of approval moving forward, that we would welcome a condition to work with the neighbors at 246 also to create a fence buffer for them in the place that they would desire, where it would be where it would be most appropriate to essentially, keep their privacy and also keep, any small children from being adjacent to the road. So that's something else that we are willing to continue to work on. We were also able to rethink the drainage a little bit when we shortened the roadway and changed the location of the houses. We heard a lot of comments from the neighbors regarding the tree line and the great kind of sound buffer that the tree line provides them to the highway. So we rethought the drainage to basically split it down the middle of the new road and basically put the drainage adjacent to Groton Road and put the drainage at the end of the cul-de-sac. What that does is it allows us to keep that little isolated wetland in the middle of the tree area untouched. And with that 12th lot being gone, we're able to keep a significant amount of trees and really kind of bring in our limit of work, which I think will be incredibly helpful to not only the new residents of this roadway, but also the residents further past the highway, because we're able to keep a pretty significant tree line there. And in combination with the tree line that we'll be able to keep on the other side of the easement and the width of the easement itself, I think that provides some pretty substantial changes to the amount of vegetation that we are proposing to remove. We are still seeking the planning board's approval of having more than 10 lots on a road. Your dead end bylaw requests basically says that it can be approved as necessitated by topo or other local conditions. Certainly there's no opportunity or want to connect this roadway through to anywhere else. We've heard a very substantial commentary about wanting to keep kind of the RC zone independent of the RB zone. And certainly we're not looking to create this road to be any longer or provide any additional homes there. We've also made it substantially shorter, so it's actually pretty much the length of a 10-lot subdivision in the RA or RB zoning district at this point, based on the overall length of road and the reduced frontage that's allowed in the RC district. So we'd certainly like that consideration moving forward. We've also had, and I know it's been brought up previously, and I've watched the selectmen's meeting and also the tri-board meeting, and we've been in lots of conversations regarding both sewer and water for this project for many, many months. In talking with the DPW, we have designed the project to be a pump system down to Groton Road. And the Groton Road system would have to be upgraded from our site to Scotty Hollow to allow for the sewage flow to enter the systems. They're looking for us to upgrade about 1,500 linear feet of sewer from a 2-inch force main to a 4-inch force main to accommodate this project. And certainly we understand that, we're in line, and based on the commentary I heard from Mr. Haverty and the selectmen last evening, we understand that it is first come, first serve for sewer, and that essentially we would need to obtain our sewer connection permit and pay our fees to be able to tie into the sewer. We are also exploring, understanding that that's the condition. This might also be a great place for us to have septic systems on these duplex lots. And we are going to, as we move towards fall town meeting, certainly we'd like the planning board to approve it based on the project that's before you tonight, tying into sewer, but we certainly understand that that might not be allowed at some point in the near future. And we would like to explore the possibility of doing septic systems out here. It might actually be more efficient and more affordable for the developer. Certainly, as we move to the potential bylaw change this fall, and understanding that we would need to re-engineer, essentially just create the septic systems on each of these lots and come back before this board, I would assume, with a modification to show it being served by septic systems rather than sewerage at that time. But certainly that would be in the future, based on the conversation that's ongoing now. I believe that covers it. I know I spoke with Christina Papadopoulos, your town engineer, today, and she was reviewing the plans earlier. And it certainly, I'm here to answer any questions that you have in regards to the engineering or the new layout of the project. I hope that you feel that this satisfies a lot of the concerns and that we've listened to not only the board, but the abutters in moving this project forward.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any letters or anything?
No,
Nothing to read in?
no, Christina had one. Do you want to get public input on this at this point, or
Yeah, can we do that?
can you ask, because no one's in my chat?
Yeah, do we have anyone from the public that would like to speak?
Hello.
Jerry Hall?
Hi, Jerry Hall would like to speak.
Hi, Jerry, go ahead.
Yes, hi, I'm Jerry Hall. I'm in a butter. I'm at 34 Lovett Lane. I love the new changes. I think it goes back to the original idea of having the easement as a buffer. We all appreciate that as a butters. I just wanted to make sure that we could put something in writing on the conditions that says the south side will remain in its current pristine condition. And that's the only thought that I have on that, or the only worry that, you know, somewhere down the line, someone starts doing something different down there. I'd like to have that formally put in the conditions. And other than that, Katie, I think you did a nice job redoing it. Thank you.
So what do you mean by remaining in its current? So you don't want them moving anything onto it or disturbing?
Right, yeah, you know, someone's gonna build a shed because that's part of their lot, or they're gonna take down the trees. I'd like it to stay in the condition it's in now.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
while we're waiting on any other people from the public, I just want to note that two voting members of the board are not participating in this evening's meeting, Henry Parlee and Mike Raisbeck. So my suggestion is to keep the hearing open. Maybe you want to take a straw poll, have staff draft the decision, let the two members review the tape and mull it in so that they can be eligible voting members for your September meeting.
Okay. We actually have three, because Mike also, right, won't be voting on it.
Yep.
Mike Walsh has recused himself.
Yes.
Raisbeck and Parlee are not here.
Okay.
Was there another member?
No, that's it, the three.
Yep.
Okay,
Christina did want to speak about her letter.
okay. Christina, are you there?
There you
Oh,
are.
hi, this is Christina Papadopoulos. So I didn't provide a letter. Oh, where am I? I'm trying to get myself on. Sorry, guys. So sorry, there you go. Christina Papadopoulos. So I wasn't able to provide a letter for tonight, but I will be reviewing it for technical reasons. And there's no reason why we can't continue to look at the letter that I provided last time. Most of those comments are still applicable, and I'll continue to work with the engineer on any revisions.
Okay. Yep,
Just
we
the
actually,
final item I wanted to discuss with the board. I think it was Mr. Hall's suggested condition. I do want to reach out to town council on this. I'm not sure that the town has the ability to regulate tree clearing within the National Grid right away. Essentially, my message to the board is, while I understand and agree with Mr. Hall's intent, I'm not sure, one, that the planning board legally can do that, and I don't want the decision to include any misleading information. So as part of drafting the decision, I would like to reach out to council to see whether we have any jurisdiction within the National Grid right away.
okay, that sounds good.
One last member of
We
the
have
public.
one, yeah, last member of the public, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm Mike Walsh. I'm speaking tonight as an abutter. I live at 7 Burton Lane. I am not speaking as a member of the planning board in this. I think I like the plan. I think the developer, Wellen Liu and Katie Enright, and have done a great job with listening to the neighbors and hearing the neighbors. And with this new plan, I think it's excellent. And Katie should be given credit for going back to the drawing board on this. What I think Mr. Hall was talking about was the property that abuts my property. This 4 lots abut my property on this, on the south side. And one of the concerns for the neighbors was the trees, leaving the trees in place and leaving that as a buffer. And I think you heard that loud and clear multiple times. And I think that's the condition that they're trying to put in, that we've talked about at the previous meeting, some of the public have spoke about. And I think not just in the easement, I think they're talking about it in the actual south of the easement, which abuts Burton Lane, number 5 Burton Lane and number 7 Burton Lane. So I think just to clarify technical pieces of it. And then one thing that I did notice a couple of weeks ago when Nancy at the Airway mentioned how they treat the easement, National Grid. I've lived in the property for 5 years. I've never seen them treat the vegetation until 3 weeks ago, when I was out in my yard and 5 gentlemen, all masked up in spacesuits with big backpacks of fluid that they were filling from a pickup truck from Burton Lane, and then went back into the easement to continue walking up towards Groton Road, spraying everything in sight within the 80-foot easement. And I don't think what they were wearing tells me that it's pretty healthy to live in the area. So I was surprised. I asked them what they were putting in it. They came up with some high-level chemicals they were talking about, but they said they do it every so many years. So kudos to Nancy, because I didn't know that. I never saw it before. And that's how they keep the vegetation down. I'd like you to, as a member of the public, approve the project as designed so that they can move forward and start the process. This has been a long process for the neighborhood, not knowing what's coming. And I think now it's a little bit easier to swallow, knowing what the intent is and that they heard the public. But I'd like you to have some discussion regarding the buffer to be included in some kind of decision. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. So we'll wait to see what Evan finds out from town council on the buffer.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that clarification. 'Cause I think at this point, what I'm hearing is that it's not so much about the easement, but the portions of lot 8, 9, and 10 outside the easement. The easiest way to handle this is if the applicant were willing to put a notation on the plan, a no-cut zone, or a no-cut restriction area, and then that can be codified via some sort of easement or restriction. Assuming it's important to the board. I mean, that's the easiest way to handle this.
Well, I think it's important to the public, so it's important to the board. So do you have to still check with the town council on that, or?
I will check with council on the National Grid easement. I think I know the answer to that. For purposes of the portions of lots 8, 9, and 10 outside of the easement on the southern side of abutting Burton Lane, if the goal and desire is to preserve that in its natural state, there needs to be some sort of legally binding restriction, a deed restriction, a lot restriction, a use restriction that essentially serves as a no-cut zone. No cut, no disturb zone.
Okay. And that's something we can do as a board?
That's something you can do. Ideally, the applicant would indicate their willingness to do that, and it would show up on a revised plan.
Okay.
Otherwise, the board, it's a reasonable condition, but based upon, the process to date being fairly cooperative, I think it's worthwhile just the board to ask as part of the public hearing.
Okay. Does the applicant have any comments?
If I could, we will certainly, we would like an opportunity to sit down and talk with our client about that. And I know, Katie, unless you have other insight into it, I do think we need an opportunity to touch base with our client. But as was said, our clients have tried to do everything to be as cooperative with the board and neighbors as possible. And I wouldn't see them changing direction on that. So just give us an opportunity, and then we can let Evan know how we're going to handle it in terms of plan revision.
Okay, that sounds good.
And I also agree with Doug. I think that just to say it, it's not our intention to use the other side of the easement for anything at this point, besides using it as lot area for those 3 lots. And I don't see that it would be an issue for us to bring forth. But please give us a chance to talk to Wendland and Carrie offline. And we would certainly be happy to come back with a plan to depict that if everything's okay on their end.
Okay, so we'll wait to hear back. Should we close the public hearing at this? No.
Please keep the hearing open.
Yeah,
As I
please.
mentioned, let the 2 members mull it in.
Okay,
Give them a chance to
And then
read
that
it.
way we can engage with the applicant at the September 9th meeting with a draft decision.
okay, so we're just gonna continue then.
Yep, just a motion to continue.
Yeah,
I got a question.
I got a
Oh,
couple of questions.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't go around to the
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
so-
that's, and we got Nancy, and then
Why don't you go?
You wanna go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, I mentioned a few meetings back regarding this, that lots 9 and 10 on the south side of the easement. I kinda wanted them deemed non-buildable and put it in a deed. Because 20 years down the road, someone could approach it and say, I can put a house in the middle of that. I just want to protect the neighborhood and have it stamped non-buildable, if that's possible, Evan.
Yeah, is that possible, Evan?
Which lots?
The south side of the easement, 9 and 10.
With what we're doing, is that no cut similar, or, I mean,
Well, no
Well,
cut,
no,
but I
but-
mean, in 20 years from now,
you mean they could
people could say
merge
there's
it,
no
yeah.
deed restriction, I can
I
put a house
kind of
in.
agree with what Hank's saying.
Yeah.
If we could work into them 3 lots, to have a covenant on them stating
No further
that-
subdivision.
that
Right.
they can no longer, they cannot be re-subdivided or more houses built on them. I think
Yes.
that would
I would
cure the
agree if-
entire problem.
We could do that to protect the neighborhood.
Yes, we can include a condition, particularly where you're being asked to approve additional lots beyond what is allowed. So we can restrict further houses being built and further subdivision.
Other than that, I think it's a great plan here.
Okay, thanks, Henry.
Okay, well, that was one of my bigger questions as well, but we got that out of the way. The other questions that I got, has the North Chelmsford Water District chimed in on looping the water main up there? Because the way it looks on the plan, it's just going up as a dead-end line, and I know they're dead against that. And I didn't know if that was something that they might want to put on the plan prior to, or talk to them prior to. You could probably loop it right back around where that other driveway was gonna come in, and it's far enough apart from the other one that they'd allow that as a loop. That was one other question. And on Katie's comment on doing the septic systems instead of doing the sewer, just one comment on that. I think that's a great idea to do that. I think it'd save a ton of money by doing that as well. But where this whole sewer thing isn't ironed out yet, I'd be leery of doing that, because 5 years down the road after you get your project built, if Lowell comes up with some mystery way of giving more capacity to Chelmsford, they could come back with the laws that are in the sewer bylaws now and say to that development, okay, you do have sewer now, you need to tie into the sewer. And that would be a huge expense at that time, because your roads that already be built, you'd have to tear up the road, it'd make a mess out of it. So if you're gonna do the septic thing, it might be smart to throw the sewer main and your stubs in while you're doing it, and just get that out of your way, just to save you trouble down the road. Just a thought on it.
I think last night during the meeting, it was discussed that there was gonna be some sort of, I believe, 3 warrant articles on fall town meeting, and one was to address that.
Right. But we just want to let these people know that they're the ones coming in with the project, and things can change. So just so you know.
Absolutely, Glenn. Yeah, no, we've been working with DPW now for, understanding that, things were getting tight on the sewer end and understanding what our infrastructure would need to be to tie into sewer. And so, certainly there are some concessions. There's an extreme cost with not only the tie-in fee, but the infrastructure upgrades that would need to be necessary to tie this into sewer. So we just want you to know that we're exploring the options. Certainly we'd like to get the subdivision approved and have the sewerage something that we work on as the town kind of figures things out. And regarding the water, we did attend a meeting of the water commissioners, and we have been in conversations with Bruce Harper. They're also have an infrastructure problem and would need us to upgrade the 6-inch water line to a 12-inch water line from Scotty Hollow to the site. It's something that's necessary for this area of town. And we have been in communication with them regarding not only that infrastructure, potential infrastructure improvement. We've done hydrant testing. Their engineer has done some calculations, and we're continuing to work with them too. So there very well may be some minor updates to the water line as we continue to work with the water district.
Okay, is Dawn on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Any comments?
I have no comments. I'm just pleased that the developer has taken the opportunity to speak with the butters.
Okay, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm definitely liking this layout. It looks good. I have concerns about a no-cut zone in residential 1 and 2 family lots. First of all, I don't think it's in our purview to limit landscaping, which is no cut in residential single and duplex lots. And secondly, I don't think it's enforceable even if we did, because frankly, even if we place it on there, somebody can simply go in and cut the trees down and there's no way to put them back. So I think it's foolish to do that. On the other hand, we can certainly designate it as a no-build zone. And whether that's practical in terms of restricting the use of the back lots for sheds, I don't know, but and I don't know that that's reasonable either. I don't see where these new lots are any different than the existing adjacent lots in terms of the right to have a shed. But in terms of restricting any major development or auxiliary primary buildings, you can't do that without a special permit anyhow, and we're not going to approve it. So I'm just not I don't think it's worth putting those restrictions on there. I know what you're trying to do, but the only restriction that I see that makes sense to me is a limitation on future splitting of the lots. And we certainly have the ability to put that one on, I believe. So that's my opinion. I like this plan, like it a lot.
Evan, did you have a question or comment?
No, I was just going to comment. Nancy makes a good comment. The board has on occasion over the years, very infrequently, but has approved or required no-cut zones, even in between a new single-family development and existing single-family. Nancy's quite accurate that more often than not, over a period of time, those new homeowners remove trees. Very often it's due to accessory landscaping, expanding a yard, Very often it's hazard trees that come down during storms, and they need to be removed. And more often than not, we get those calls from the abutters who attended the public hearings and were assured that there would be no cut zones. So Nancy is accurate. Just because you put it on a plan and you have a deed restriction or a use restriction doesn't necessarily mean that the trees will not be cleared incrementally or removed over a period of time. With that being said, if an aggrieved abutter did take it back to the planning board does have the ability to enforce, basically trying to work out an arrangement where new trees were planted. It's not obviously a mature buffer, but the board does have some legal mechanism to attempt to correct something that has been done in violation of the permit.
You want to get in that business?
I know, I can tell you from experience, you really want to try to avoid that because it's a no-win situation. But again, I think it's on a case-by-case basis. This is a very unique situation, but something that the board can think about over the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, I have a few comments. I think I'm the only one that, I would have been happier with 10. I think that 11, they're pretty squished in. And how many parking spots does each duplex have? 2?
Correct.
Yeah, so I mean, I see them parking on the street and they're close together, but the good news is that the public is happy and the neighbors are happy, so I would go along with it if the neighbors are all
Surprised we
approving.
didn't have any callers.
I know,
No,
but the public that did speak
Right.
spoke well, and
From
so,
the beginning on, I think that's a great improvement. People are happy with it.
yeah, yeah. So that's it for now, then we'll continue
Give you a
until,
motion to continue if you want.
okay, and a second? Second, all in favor?
Right?
Aye.
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 Do you need a roll call? You're good.
Oh, that's good.
We
We're
got
good.
it.
Okay, thank you, Katie, thank you, Doug.
Thanks.
Thank you all very much. Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, so, next up,
Got minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, hopefully you guys saw them.
They were great.
Good?
Wonderful.
Make a motion for the
Give
minutes?
you a motion to accept the minutes of 7/8/2020.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Done. You want another
Done.
motion?
Yes, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
job,
Good
guys.
meeting.
Wasn't that bad, Tim?